Hello and welcome to Spirit Touched. These are my notes from the Robert L. Short book, The Gospel According to Peanuts. The false faith we originate with must first fail us before we stand any chance of accepting Christianity's answer. Since the church is not a part of this world, how do we? Psalms 137:4. The church needs to examine its strategy of communication with people of our times. Sometimes the reason people reject the word is because it wasn't properly presented to them. As Charlie Brown says, it's almost impossible to get people to change their minds. How true. As Karl Barth said, the church must be engaged in conversation with the contemporary world, whatever the means of dialogue used. Here's what Paul said, 1 Corinthians 9:20 through 22. Because God moves us, he became what we are so that he could bring us to what he is. Here are two of the barriers some put up against the church. Number one is intellectual, meaning there's no clear decision for or against the word has been made possible for the hearers. Some don't even know what the alternatives are. The church is just as guilty of omission as we are because of imprecise vocabulary. Sermons can be ignored, tuned out, or even forgotten. Some have trouble with the words be of good cheer because they don't realize Matthew 9:2 and John 16:33 are good reasons for that cheer. It's strange but true that some don't understand what that first verse means. Number two is a deeper and more fundamental sense. It tells how our hearts and not our, since it deals with our hearts and not our heads. Genesis 8:21 and Isaiah 48:8. Too many people fit this. Matthew 13 verses 14 and 15, where Jesus quotes Isaiah 6:9 and 10. These folks are trapped in their own blindness. It's only through God's mercy that this blindness can be overcome. John 9:32. Lots of times the church finds itself in the trap of trying to explain its position in a language that itself is not meaningful. Some churches need to update their language so the people can understand the message. Proverbs 15:23. Sometimes subtlety works better. In some cases, using more modern Christian music speaks to young people. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the older beloved hymns. There's room for both in the church. Some songs can bring us into a honest confrontation with ourselves, confirmation with ourselves and God. And Matthew 10:16. We do need to be wise about the types of music we listen to, whether it's the older hymns or the more contemporary ones. Music is a good way of getting through the defenses of the enemy because Satan hates it when we praise the Lord. Music has a way of helping us look at the world in a softer light so we can accept and understand it easier, and gives us a fresh perspective. Music has a way of touching our souls in a way nothing else can. It gets the message across better than some sermons. Some songs get our attention with the first few notes and stills our hearts. Many churches are dull and narrow-minded, as in Matthew 16:3, making them of little help to their members, and that's a real shame. Before we are saved, our heart can't understand the truth, making it foreign to us. So the hardness must be removed so it can see, hear, and understand Matthew 13:10-13, and 1 Corinthians 2:14. This is why Jesus spoke to the people in parables, Proverbs 1:6. Those parables get their attention. Some people think they don't need the truth, so they don't appreciate or accept it when they hear it. The parables were a way to put cracks in their brain firewalls. When they finally asked for the truth with fear and trembling, knowing they needed it, then they find it. Mark 4:21-22. The church needs to use more than one kind of bait to reel people in, and it should be fresh instead of just tuning up the volume louder with the hard sell approach. Sometimes the quiet approach works much better. Some churches are too self-satisfied, and this is why they are not very effective. Some even think they need to entertain people to get them in the door. Wrong. The role of the church is to edify God and not to pacify the people. You may send your prayer request to heanswerstwo@gmail.com.